So, Errol Spence and Terence Crawford react to Manny Pacquiao's return. Come get Marquez again. Alright, y'all, let's get into it. So, Manny Pacquiao is returning to the boxing ring to take on DKO in an exhibition fight coming up here in a few weeks. And the Pacman said this is in preparation for his return to the real sport of boxing, actual championship boxing, prize fighting. And I just want to give further analysis on what he said he's shooting for, which is a fight for undisputed with either Terence Bud Crawford or Errol Spence Jr. Now, Manny didn't really clarify whether he was going to wait for those two guys to work it out or if he would try to take on one of them or the other one of them. You know, I think it would be an amazing feat for Manny Pacquiao if he could pull off either one of those fights. It would have been amazing to see when the Errol Spence Jr. fight was actually signed. Those two guys, you know, generational boxing, getting it on, man. It's amazing. And for them to be doing it competitively, not just like Mike Tyson and Roy Jones, even though it was entertaining, that Mike Tyson, Roy Jones, and it was good to see those two guys get that dream matchup that they didn't get when they were professional boxers. But for Manny Pacquiao to still be active, to still have his skill sets, to have his faculties about him, and the heart to want to challenge the younger champions is simply amazing to see. And I think that Manny Pacquiao, if any other person in the world can pull it off, it's Manny Pacquiao. So I don't give him just a puncher's chance. I think because of the fact that if you combine if you took Manny Pacquiao's whole entire career, his resume of fights, it would take Errol Spence and Terence Crawford to surpass just the amount of fights Manny Pacquiao has had. I think he's close to 80 fights, and Terence Crawford might have like 37. Errol Spence might have like 37. This is not including the amateurs, and I won't include amateur boxing for Pacquiao either, because if you added amateur boxing in there as well, I think Pacquiao would have more full spectrum fights than both of those guys combined. So nowhere in my mind am I going, you know, Manny Pacquiao's 43 years old. He's going to go in there and get hurt. That's going to be permanent for the rest of his life. Now, he might go in there and get Ugas again. We don't know. We don't know what version of Pacquiao would come to the ring to take on Errol Spence or Terence Crawford. But what we do know, even if he did go in there and give a similar performance to what he did with the Ugas fight, that was still a decent enough performance to go 12 rounds. And if Pacquiao would have just turned it on a little bit, he would have beaten Yordenis Ugas. And I think a lot of that had to do with the preparation for the fight. Freddie Roach having so much going on. I think Freddie Roach at that time, Freddie Roach might have had 3 fights on the card. If I'm not mistaken, I think he coached 3 fighters that were on the card. So you can imagine, you know, sitting there putting a game plan together for Errol Spence Jr., one of the greatest fighters of today, and then at the last minute having to prepare for a fighter you've never really heard of. I mean, Freddie Roach knows who Yordenis Ugas is, but he's never taken a polished look as a boxing coach at Yordenis Ugas. He's never had to stand across the ring from Ugas. So you can imagine for an older man like Freddie Roach with 3 fights on the same card, how difficult it probably was. And you know Freddie, he gets frustrated real easily. He'll cuss Manny Pacquiao out because Manny got so much going on. So you can imagine if he got a stacked deck, how he probably reacts or feels, or he might get frustrated. And in that situation, I think he probably felt like, well, I can just keep whatever you know, Ugas and Spence are similar size. You know, they do similar things. They have a similar way about them. The only difference is Ugas is not a southpaw. So I think Freddie Roach probably felt like, well, I'll just keep a similar game plan to what I had for Errol Spence, and it just didn't work out in Manny Pacquiao's favor. So, you know, I would hope that he would go in. I hope he would be going in with Freddie over Boo Boy just for the experience. But there's a possibility him and Freddie Roach might not be working together anymore, because Roach has spoken in the past to where he said he doesn't want to risk Manny, something similar to that. He didn't want to risk Pacquiao, and he had too much going on to be trying to train Pacquiao and the countless other fighters that he has, you know, besides Pacquiao. So, you know, listen, it's a 50-50 shot when you're talking about Manny Pacquiao, and I don't care who you put him in there with. You can put him in there with Tyson Fury, and I would say he would run Tyson Fury around the ring and might have a chance of knocking him out if he caught him the right way. But I know most people would say, Manny Pacquiao's going to get Marquez, and I would think that most Errol Spence fans would believe that, and most Terence Crawford fans would believe that. I would actually think that Errol Spence and Terence Crawford would believe that. I would hope that they believe that, and I would think that that's something Manny Pacquiao could take advantage of, being the underdog. Whenever he's the underdog, he destroys his opponent. Now, how would those two guys approach that fight? How would Spence Jr. approach it? I think it would be a more difficult fight for Spence Jr. than it would be for Terence Crawford, because Terence Crawford does have speed. So I think in a Errol Spence fight, Manny Pacquiao could exploit the fact that Errol Spence has never really faced up with a speed fighter of the caliber of Manny Pacquiao, like that quick. Terence Crawford is one level of speed. Manny Pacquiao, even at 43 years old, is a totally different level of speed if he brings it to the table. Now, with the Ugas fight, he brought speed in a way. His hand speed was there. The foot speed and angles were the problem. And I think that was because they, once again, were working off a game plan that was for a different fighter. I don't think he planned to use the ring as much to fight Errol Spence Jr. I think he actually planned to stand in front of Errol Spence and trade with him, because we know Manny Pacquiao packs a punch, and I don't think he's afraid of getting hit. So I think his game plan for the Errol Spence Jr. fight that he tried to carry over to Ugas was to try to go blow for blow with Spence, and it didn't work out when he tried that with Ugas because of the looping punch. With Terence Crawford, it's a little different with Terence Crawford, because Terence Crawford does bring speed to the table. So you would have to say Crawford would be able to keep up with his speed, but could he deal with the angles and punching power of Manny Pacquiao is the biggest question mark. And that would be the reason I would give Pacquiao the victory. But we have to realize Pacquiao didn't bring angles to the Ugas fight. So anybody who watched that Ugas fight who's not a fan of Manny Pacquiao would say, well, he doesn't have that ability anymore. Me as a Pacquiao fan, once again, I go back to preparation, because I do train with boxing. I know how much preparation is a key to anything, whether you're just training or you're professional. If you're not prepared correctly, you can get beat. If you're not prepared correctly and you try to fight somebody on the street, you're going to be face down to the concrete and going to be waiting for the ambulance to come. So I know how much preparation is a key, and I think this time, Manny Pacquiao, there are no distractions. There was so many distractions for Pacquiao at that time, and it didn't work out in his favor. Now you have a fully revamped Manny Pacquiao who's been doing nothing but, I'm sure, training and working out for the past year, and he's ready to make a comeback. And he didn't come back and say, hey, I just want to fight a couple journeymen and make a little bit of more money. He said, I want the best of the best, and I can beat these guys. Matter of fact, Floyd Mayweather, who y'all say is the TBE, the greatest or the best of all times or the best ever or whatever his mantra is, he said he's scared of him. He's scared to rematch him. So I have no doubts that Manny Pacquiao can take these two fighters down, and he probably will. I hope we get that fight. I hope we get the Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford fight. And I think that's it for now. It's your boy, Cardinal, Bud Crawford, E.S. Red, if that's what you want to call me. And we are out of here. Hey, holla at my social media. Hit me up on Instagram or Facebook or Gmail if you want to collabo. We are done.
I ain't even got to do too much talking, because I know what's going to happen come Saturday.
Yeah. Is you ready for me? 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 Nigga. Spotless. Check it. Check it.